morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us in the gardens today. I'm Brad. I don't work here, unlike the guy who's usually here. I'd like to welcome everybody here, including our guests. We have a couple people who aren't regulars. And we'd like to acknowledge that we're meeting today on the traditional territory of the Okanagan people. If you want to stay up to date on what's going on, church emails, you can sign up for them via our website, or you can come talk to me and I can help you out. If you're not an email person, just, talk to other people who are here. They'll let you know what's going on. Tithes and offerings, if you are physically depositing them, there is a basket in the back. You can drop them in. Otherwise, you can sign up we accept e-transfers, which is an awesome way of doing things. You don't have to worry about going to a bank machine. You can do it right from your phone right now. At any time, even if you're online. And that reminds me as well, we are posting our services to YouTube. This one's not live streamed, but it will go up afterwards. So if we're asking for prayer requests and things like that, please make sure that the people you're praying for are okay. So first names is a good idea as well. We're doing that. Couple of announcements. Next Sunday is our last Sunday here in the gardens. Come a little early. I think David has some plans for some extra stuff, so come a little early, maybe about 9:30.
Refreshments.
Extra refreshments.
Not so early.
Pardon? Sorry?
Not so early.
I know. I mean, you're here a little bit early most of the time. No. There is a feedback form email you should have got. It's we're asking just for some congregational feedback. If you don't like to fill things out on the internet, I've got some paper copies, so come see me and you can have a paper copy as well. The feedback will be live for a few more weeks, just so we can figure out where you're at, where we're all at, checking in. There is a reminder about Carmen's mindfulness retreat on the 31st. It's from 9:30 to 4 at the church, right? Yep. And please make sure you let Carmen know you're coming, just because she needs to know numbers and if she needs to go find a bigger space to be at. And I think the last announcement I have is there is an evening of music coming up called A Sanctuary of Creativity. That's going to be on September the 28th at 7 p.m. at KCC. It's a $25 donation, and that goes to support the Anam Cara Scholarship Fund, right? Awesome.
And you can get tickets from Judith, Christine, or Carla.
Tickets from Judith, Christine, or Carla. Awesome. Tamara. Right? Yes? No? Yes? Okay.
The call to worship this morning is Psalm 13. How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts and day after day have sorrow in my heart? How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look on me and answer, Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. And my enemy will say, I have overcome him. And my foes will rejoice when I fall. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me.
Thinking about trusting in the unfailing love of God. I love that old hymn that talks about if the ocean was filled with ink, we couldn't, and we tried to write about the love of God, we would run out of ink from the ocean. That's how deep the love of God is for us. Thinking about Psalm 137 that says, plunge into the depths of love where heart meets heart. So this morning, I just want us to focus on one of the things that we're going to start by focusing on this morning is just the love of God for us. That we are welcome here as we are, that we are received, and that the love of God is so vast we can't even comprehend it. We're going to start by singing Your Love, O Lord. Join me, join us if you know it. I'm grateful to be here with you guys. We are grateful to be here. I've twisted my daughter's arm to sing with me, which is always a gift, and my husband playing with me. So we're just so honored to be here with you this morning and to just share together in the love of God. So if you want to stand, you can. so much for your love today, this morning. One of the things that I think is so powerful about meeting as a church together is, like, Psalm 23 talks about coming to a table, that there's a table prepared for us. And one of the things that's really powerful about being together is that we actually can come to the table together with our needs, with our desires, with our longings, with our pain, and with our joy. And we can actually bring each other to the table. So this morning we're going to sing a song about come to the table and all of the words, all the things that are offered at the table for us this morning. And at the end of the song, I'm just going to pause for just a short time, just to give you an opportunity to ask for what you need at the table this morning. So I think some of you guys know this song. If you do, sing it out. Come to the table. Come to the table of rest. Come to the table. Come to the table.
to the table. Come to the table of love.
Just want to give you a moment to just ask for what you need at the table this morning. I just want to teach you guys a body prayer. So I'm not going to play an instrument. I'm just going to teach you a body prayer that goes with our singing this morning. So can you guys stand? Kids especially, you can help us grown-ups. We sometimes forget that it's okay to move our bodies in church and everywhere. It's a really simple body prayer. What I've found is that singing things with a lot of words, we can sometimes forget the words. So just having very simple words that we can take through our day. So this is going to be tricky for me. Nan, can you hold this for me? Everyone, my assistant Nadia. Isn't she lovely? Okay, anyways. Okay, so these words are really simple. So the words are, and these are the actions, and then we'll add the melody in a sec. So the words are, I watch, and so you can cover your eyes if you want, but I just kind of like, I watch, and I wait. I listen, and I receive. I open to the life that is flowing around me and within. So it's very simple. Let's try it again together. I watch, and I wait. I listen, and I receive. I open to the life flowing around me and within. So these actions are very up to interpretation. If you want to make them jazzier, you can jazz them up if you want. I'm like flowing all around me, like you can just really flow if you want to, okay? So just like, it's okay. It's okay. Just don't look at your neighbor. Let them be. If they're doing something crazy, just be like, okay, all right, I got it. So let's try it one more time, and then we're gonna add actually we're gonna add the melody this time. So it goes like this. I watch and I wait. I listen and I receive. I open to your life, flowing all around me. I open to your life within me. Super simple, let's try it again. I watch and I wait. I listen and I receive. I open to your life, flowing all around me. I open to your life within me. And the beauty of this as well is if you forget the melody, you can just use your hands, and it's the same prayer. last song that we're going to sing is called Here's My Heart, Lord. And it's a prayer as well, in that we're asking that we would know the truth of our beings, that we would know who we are, that we would know how God sees us this morning, and that we would be open to hear that. So join in as if you feel comfortable.
Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true.
Sing that again.
Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true, 'cause I am found, I am yours, I am loved, I'm made pure, I have life, I can breathe, I am healed, I am free. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord.
Speak what is true.
Speak what is true, 'cause I am found, I am yours, I am loved, I'm made pure, I have life, I can breathe, I am healed, I am free. 'Cause you are strong, you are sure, you are life, you endure, you are good, always true, you are light breaking through. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true.
Here's my life.
Here's my life, Lord. Here's my life, Lord. Here's my life, Lord. Speak what is true.
Speak is what is true.
Speak what is true. Speak what is true.
Let us come together in prayer. Heavenly Father, we ask you to bless Ginny's sister Brenda and her family as she continues to work through her illness. We ask that you bless the King and Joyner families as they continue to grieve the loss of their sister, mother, grandmother. We ask that you bless kids and teachers as they head back to school and all that entails. And along those same lines, we ask that you bless Cora Jenkins as she starts with her adventures in university. We also ask that you bless the O'Hori family, specifically the O'Hori kids, because they've got to learn how to all live together and those challenges that those bring. We also ask that you bless David and Carmen on their travels as they cruise around. And Lord, we ask that you take our own petitions in our hearts that we offer up to you now. Almighty God, you bring us all together that we may gather and congregate. We ask that you connect our hearts, Lord, and weave us together so that our voice of praise may come together as one and be brought forward to you. May what we've spoken here today and what we have on our hearts be offered to you, both for requests of gifts you give us and also praise for the gifts you've given us, Lord. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
The reading this morning is called Remember Now in Silence by Ted Loder. Lord, plunge me deep into a sense of sadness at the pain of my sisters and brothers inflicted by war, prejudice, injustice, indifference, that I may learn again to cry as a child, until my tears baptize me into a person who touches with care those I now touch in prayer, victims of violence, of greed, of addictions, prisoners in ghettos, in old age, in sexism, people with broken bodies, with broken hearts, with broken lives, whom I remember now in silence before you, because I have too often forgotten them in the shuffle of my fretful busyness.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi there.
Thank you for coming this morning. My name is Shauna Gill, for those of you who don't know me. And today we're continuing our series on myths, fables, and legends. And I don't know if David or anyone else has spoken about a legend. And so today I'm going to bring you to the land of the Irish. And we're going to talk about the Banshee and the legend of the Irish Banshee. You may have guessed from the readings that we're going to be focusing on the idea of lament. And you can hear lament in the Psalms, in the Scriptures, and in the Gospels through the walk of Jesus Christ as he wept and he lamented the losses in his own life. So, couple things. As I read the first part of this, it's a little tricky because there's a few Gaelic words. Maybe Fran can help me. But the belief in a banshee has been an integral part of Irish folklore and mythology for centuries. It has added an air of mystery and superstition to the tales of the Emerald Isle. While banshees are specific to Irish folklore, similar death omens and spirits can be found in other cultures worldwide, each with their own unique characteristics and names. So the Irish countryside is dotted with tumuli, which are earthen mounds, which in Old Irish were called she. These earthen mounds were barrows or grave sites, some of which date as far back as the Neolithic age. These she's were associated with the fairy folk, the mythicized Tuatha Dé Danann, who had been supplanted by the wave of immigrants known as the Milesians. And these were the ancestors of the Gaels, or the Gaelic people. This all happened in about 1000 before the Christian era, so it goes back a long time. Legend says that these people, who had long been considered magical beings, retreated underground, and the she were among the remaining gateways to their hidden kingdom. So these mounds of earth were their hidden entranceways to their kingdom. Thus, they became she's, the people of the mounds. And these female spirits became the Banshees, or the women of the mounds. And while that would generally describe any females among the fairy folk, the Banshee occupies a much more specific role that sets them apart. Sadly, the Banshee acts as a warning of death in a family. According to Irish folklore, the Banshee is said to be heard wailing mournfully or singing a lament, referred to as keening, when someone in the family either is about to die or has already died. This can occur even when the death happens far away and news has not yet reached the family. And when the person is especially holy or important, multiple banshees may wail for their passing. However, banshees don't just presage deaths, though that is their most common function. Banshees have also been known to act as an omen of other tragedies or misfortunes as well, particularly those of significance. The Banshee of the O'Donnell family is said to cry for all the misfortunes the family will ever have. And so-called Banshee chairs, wedge-shaped rocks found across Ireland, are said to be places where a Banshee will sit and cry for general misfortunes when there is no death to announce. All Banshees are female, of course. But beyond that detail, there's a great deal of variation in how they can appear. And while the Banshee is often heard but not seen, there's still a range of descriptions to choose from. She might be a beautiful woman in a shroud wandering the countryside or crouched by the road. Or she could be seen as a pale woman with long red or silver hair. While the Banshee is often seen as young and lovely, she can just as well appear as a matron or an old woman. They may be frightening crones with either long white hair or gray hair, wearing a green dress, or sometimes dressed all in black with a veil. And young or old, their eyes may be a terrifying red. It's said this is because of all their crying. In some folk tales, the Banshee appears more exotic, reflecting their fairy nature. Some banshees are said to be unnaturally tall, while others are described as tiny, as little as a foot tall in some cases. They might be seen as a shrouded figure flying in by moonlight. There are even accounts of a banshee appearing, good, the kids are mostly gone, as a headless woman, naked from the waist up, carrying a bowl of blood. In other accounts, the banshee may take fully non-human forms, appearing as an animal, such as a crow, a weasel, or a black dog. There are mythological connections, which I don't have time to go into, but there are connections through other cultures that the banshees are connected to, and they seem to have the same purpose in terms of lamenting and crying for the dead. Keening. The Banshee's cry is known as a coin or keening, a tradition that harkens back as far as the 8th century, though it's not strictly unique to Ireland. Wailing and singing at burials are found in funeral rites from ancient Rome to China. Notably, there's an ancient custom called operi in areas of southern India, in which women relatives of the deceased wail and sing a largely improvised song that is both lamentation and eulogy, which very closely parallels the Irish tradition of keening. Originally, bards, traditional Irish poets and storytellers, would sing lamentations at funerals. In time, the bard was replaced with hired keening women who would wail and sing for the deceased, and while the bard's songs were generally prepared and structured, the keening was more improvised within the confines of a few standard traditional motifs. Keening faded from prominence as the 20th century came, and most of the authentic keening songs didn't survive the modern age. A precious few have been preserved, however. And there's one, a keening song for a dead child. It was sung by a woman named Kitty Gallagher for the ethnomusicologist Alan Lomax in the 1950s. This can be heard online, and it's actually kind of an interesting thing to listen to. And listening to it gives one just the faintest idea of what it might be like to hear a banshee sing somewhere out in the black night. Just as keening of mortal mourners, the keening of a banshee can be unique. But there is noted regional trends in the sounds made by these death heralds. Those in Kerry are said to be pleasant songs, but in Rathlin Island off the north shore of Northern Ireland, the banshee's song is a thin screech, almost like that of an owl. And in Leinster in the southeast, the wail of a banshee is said to be so piercing it can shatter glass. But the banshee is not traditionally an omen of death for everyone. Rather, banshees are believed to be tied only to specific Irish families and lineages, with few exceptions. The banshee is thought to be associated with only Gaelic families, that is, the descendants of the original people who last colonized the island. Chiefly, this includes the families of the O or the Mick or the Mac prefix, such as O'Sullivan or McGrath. Some traditions are even more specific. By some accounts, only the 5 oldest families in Ireland, the O'Neills, the O'Briens, the O'Gradys, the O'Connors, and the Kavanaghs, have their own designated banshee. But other versions of the mythology grant old families their own family banshee as well. These family banshees, as one might expect from a figure talked about by generations of family members, can have a much more developed mythology than the norm. That of the O'Donnell family, for instance, was said to live on a rock overlooking the sea, and that of the O'Neill family, called Maveen, even had her own designated room in the family castle, where family members sometimes claimed to see an impression left in her bed. And this close relationship doesn't end at the water's edge of the Emerald Isle. There have been accounts of the banshee's wail being heard by descendants of Irish immigrants to other countries, even after generations away from their original homeland. But in practice, it seems the banshees are not as limited in who they sing to as tradition suggests. There are families, notably the Geraldines, the Bunworth family, and the Rossmores, all from different lineages, Scottish, Dutch, coming from the Anglo-Saxons in the country of Cork, despite not being from the original heritage of the Gaelics, and they're each believed to have their own banshees as well. But just because a banshee is connected to a given family doesn't mean that it's a family friend. In different folk tales, banshees can be seen one of two ways. one of two ways, either as a spirit who mourns the dead and shares the sorrows of the family to whom they're connected, or as a hateful creature whose cries are a celebration of the suffering of their designated family. The song of the friendly banshee is said to be soft, mournful chant to announce or presage the death of a family member, and this banshee exists as a fellow mourner, grieving the deceased. The hateful banshee's call, on the other hand, is a fiendish screech, a dark howl of delight for the oncoming tragedy. The Irish are not the only people to have such death omens. There are very similar creatures found in nearby cultures that also predict or warn a coming of death. In Scotland, for instance, there's the bean nye, or the washerwoman, often described as having a terrible outward look. That's all I'll say, including ducked webb's feet. And she will be seen at streams or rivers washing the bloody clothes of someone about to die. But the bean nye has an additional aspect not found in banshee lore. If one can sneak up on the washerwoman and catch her unseen, she is said to either answer any questions truthfully or sometimes even grant one or more wishes. Finally, one last point on where this banshee legend came from is that soldiers in Ireland going to war would wake up very, very early in the morning to sneak up on their enemies. However, in their noise-making, quiet as they were, they would keep the owls awake as they tried to settle to sleep in the early morning hours. And these owls would then screech and scare the soldiers away. And so the soldiers were kind of damned if they do and damned if they don't. If they moved forward, they were sure to die in battle. But if they ran away, they would probably be hung with treason charges for running away. Okay, so this is the legend of the banshee. And why would we consider this in the myths and legends of our series this summer? I'm going to give you a few minutes to let all that I just read soak in, this legend of the banshee, and then we're going to have a little conversation about it, on how it sits with you. So I'm curious about your first thoughts and what you think about this legend. I thought it was scary.
It made some sense because my mom, when I was growing up, she'd say, "Stop screaming like a banshee," and I never really knew what she was actually saying. My grandmother, my great grandmother believed in little people, and she said that when we went to, when I went to see see her as a small child, she would tell me not to step on the little people and that I had to stay on the path. And so it just made me think of why what we believe and how language comes down to people when they're being cut off from the culture.
I have to go back to school screaming, screaming like a banshee. Yes, Carla.
Something that caught my attention was when you said that when she looked, sometimes she looked like a beautiful woman, and sometimes she looked prone or something scary. So I think warnings for us to be beautiful, or I'm taking it more
Yeah, no, that's
into my
good.
own, right? Like in my own life, but it could be something that is showing you, or God is showing you something beautiful, and it's telling you, okay, showing you this, it's beautiful. Well, let's just simplify it. It could be beautiful, or it could be scary and ugly. Let's just say it like that for now.
Okay, so it can be something beautiful as a warning or something scary. Would I be putting words in your mouth if I said that's your perception?
Yes.
Like that you're the one who perceives it either as beautiful or scary? Okay, thank you. Why do you think the Irish might have come up with this legend? We have to remember this is long before St. Patrick went to the island and brought Christianity. Okay, so they were very much a people of folklore and fairies and so forth.
Maybe not understanding death
Okay.
or expressing how you feel.
How to express.
How to express your feelings, I guess, about death or losing somebody.
How to express those feelings of losing somebody.
So the crying ends up being that gut feeling of loss.
Why else might they have come up with this legend? Anyone else? So we have, they might not have known how to express their deep feelings. So they created this story. They might not have understood death. Definitely something maybe to be afraid of.
Just thinking about other fairy tales and how when you push aside something scary, like if feminine presence often in stories, they come back much scarier. So just wondering if there's a connection to that as well. Like in that she was beautiful, but people sort of disregarded her, and so she came back more formidable. Like, oh, you're not going to listen to me? Okay, well, how about now? So I don't know if that's connected, but I see that like in other fairy tales.
So in order to be heard, you're going to come on strong. So on that, and to further that thought, how do the different images of the banshee make you feel? How did the image of the beautiful banshee make you feel?
That might be more
associated with more of like a peaceful acceptance.
Peace and acceptance of a loss.
Yeah.
Maybe she was like a servant, like in service.
So she was there to help. How does the image of the crone, I don't like that word, the old, frightening, or even the matronly banshee, how does that make you feel?
She's scared. Afraid.
She's not so much there to help, but more to like steal and take.
Take away life, take
Yeah.
away peace.
Just in relation to sort of fear, when I did a tour of the south of Ireland, we found these hawthorn trees that were covered in notes. People tied notes to them, and they're very superstitious. And I don't know what they wrote on these notes and stuff, but we were warned not to take pictures of them. You know, but so it was terribly fearful to them.
Yes.
To take pictures of this. So it's, yeah, maybe very private.
Okay, very private.
messages that-
And so the superstitions perhaps continue
Oh, yeah.
to these days. Yeah.
In the Gaelic area.
Yeah. So what about, what role might the ownership of the beautiful banshees, what role might the ownership of the beautiful banshees have played in changing the image of the banshee? So here were these families, the true Celts, the Macs and the O'Learys and the MacNeils and all of these original Celtic families, and they had the beautiful banshees. What about all the other people? What about their banshees?
It's probably a class thing.
So there was a class division, perhaps. And so how would those other people who weren't original Celts, original Gaelic folks, getting the wrong country, have felt?
Maybe like not undeserving.
So classism might have come into, well, we're just going to make her ugly and fearful. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit. What are the ways that our society laments? Because the banshee was one who laments. Yes, she was one. Later on, she was one who predicts terrible things happening. But Initially, she was somebody who lamented on behalf of the family. And so, what are some of the ways that our society today laments?
Weeks.
We can have wakes, those Irish. I couldn't help but think of Adele, the singer, if you know who Adele is, right? She's very much a lamenting singer. Music.
Writing, poetry.
Writing, poetry. Ted Loader
Yeah.
this morning, so writing. Whether it's poetry, the poetry of the songs, books, letters to the editor.
I think there's a bit of an expectation to do it quickly and quietly.
Quickly and quietly, and maybe privately.
It's interesting, we've changed the word funeral to celebration of life.
Yes.
Yeah, over the years it's gone, you look at a more traditional service and it was a much more solemn event traditionally, like you look at, yeah, how things used to play out. It was a fairly quick event as well, mostly out of necessity, because you had to deal with the person who had died. Yes, now it's definitely, there's oftentimes a lot more space between. With the advent of more cremation happening, there's much more space between. And yeah, the shift has gone away from that initial, I think it was used as a grieving period. So it would happen right away, everyone mourned, everyone grieved. And now, because there's more of a delay, you see more celebrations of life. I think it's time where people are kind of maybe even done with some of the internal sadness, and they just want to express the joy of the memory, which is where you hope to get to. It's interesting. It's almost like maybe both parts do play an important part, and investigating that initial lamenting. Maybe we need to lament a little more again. I don't know.
Could everybody hear that? Yeah, maybe we need to lament a little bit more. And that's a really good point about, yeah, we want the celebrations of life. Yes, Carla.
The Jewish, they say Shiva for 7 days. And I think when I found that out, I thought that's so great time. I'm very good. People get together, relatives come from far. They spend time in one home. Everybody comes to that home. They have meals together. I don't even think they're allowed to go out. And they talk about the deceased person, and they remember, and they have quality times of family. So it's a time where they can nurture their soul, their kind of get the support, family support they need. That they're not alone in this time for 7 days, and then maybe they'll feel ready to go out again and start their life again. But they separated that time to lament.
So the Jewish tradition has 7 days, you said? Shiva, to lament together, to spend time together. Any other thoughts about that shift in our society from funerals to celebrations of life? and to other cultures that take some time to be supported.
It seems like we're afraid to embrace the dark parts because we're worried about each other's mental health. Like a dear friend lost her daughter last year to accidental overdose, and she was a UBC student. And so the family had a quick funeral, and then people like me were invited to the celebration of life, which was 5 weeks later. And I brought my young adults because they knew they knew Emily. And we showed up at this home. We didn't know what to expect, but there's like there's waiters bringing food around, and there's a book where you can write messages to the family, and there is a wall with her Instagram posts so that you can see how joyful she was, and then there's some couches where some of her friends were meeting, but it felt like a cocktail party, and it was, and so I sought out my friend, and we hugged, but she later would tell me how difficult that day was for her, and it felt almost like the opposite of Shiva, where the family is together and struggling together. This, for her, she would reflect on how difficult it was because she felt like she was hosting something, and she was trying to nourish the young adults who knew Emily, and she was, really, it wasn't about the pain, it was about the life. So there was even a wall with some of the things from her bedroom, her favorite sneakers, and all these different things. So you were surrounded by remembrances of Emily as if she was almost there, and it did feel like more, as I looked around the room, that the young adults were having a little bit of a party. And so I don't think I feel uncomfortable because I don't feel like we're there yet. Having face losses, it just feels more normal to wear black or wear an ash mark on your forehead and rip your clothes and just be an uncomfortable person in society. So at least if you're grieving, people would see you wearing black and they would know you don't have to say anything while you're hurting, right? Whereas somebody could have a tragic accident and face a terrible loss, and then the next day still have a bright face and be expected to communicate with the teller and communicate with, moving through society. And if you were crying, it would look unnatural, which it seems like we haven't arrived yet.
Thank you. Some of what you say reminded me of the Irish wakes, where they would get together and kind of party, and the celebrations of life, but also the sadness. And so lamenting and grief has so many different looks. And one of the things I wondered about the Banshee was it just seemed to me like a huge projection of, like, I don't want to wail because it's weeping and crying and you get a snotty nose and it's ugly. But this person, this Banshee can wail for me, or that ugly person can wail for our sorrow. Who remembers the black armbands that we used to be able to wear when we were sad and when we had a loss? And you're exactly right, Sarah, that it's strange to be out in society and to have a huge grief on your heart, and nobody knows. And so we end up being very isolated in our sorrow and in our grief.
And I think that's like our culture, like our society. If somebody dies in your family, it's like, okay, well, my work's gonna give me 2 days off, and you're just expected, like, you have to go back to, if you have to go back, you have to hurry. You can be sad, but you can't, like you said, you still have to go back. You still have to carry on. We don't have this time set aside anymore for grieving. Carla was talking about the Jewish tradition, but I know, like, in the indigenous culture here, there's like drumming and fire And like the fire isn't left alone. They keep the fire going for so long until they believe that this journey is over for this person. And then the family, a friend of mine that I used to work with, her son passed away, and she couldn't drum for like so long. While she was in grieving, she wasn't allowed to drum because that was part of their tradition and their grieving process. So she had that time. And like Sarah was like, we don't give ourselves time necessarily anymore. Or we're not allowed to take that time. Or it looks weird if we take that time.
And we expect closure like next week.
Yeah.
Whereas the grief can take as long as it takes.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so let's just go back to the scriptures and back to the idea that in the Jewish tradition, they did rip their clothes. They poured ashes on their head. And Jesus wept. And Jesus threw over the tables because he was grieving and angry. And grief can be a lot of those feelings, right? Anger, disappointment, fear, sorrow. So what we're going to move to now is we are going to have some gentle drumming, Lucas. And I'm going to invite you, as he's drumming, I'll tell you when to start. As he's drumming, come on over and pick a rock and pick a Sharpie and bring it back to your seat and think about something that you're lamenting. And this is a very, culturally clean way to lament, but it'll still help. And you can put one thing or 10 things on the rock, and we'll bring it to the cross here while Lucas starts, and then Christine will join in. And we'll just have a bit of time of quiet around that. So thank you. Oh, you put something that you're grieving over. Yeah, you give your lament to God. Write down something that you're sad about.
Okay.
That you want to bring to God. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
see that. Look,
in our Christian tradition, we can come to God and say, "How long, Lord, will you forget me forever?" Job said, "I wish I'd never been born. I curse the day of my birth." And yet, in the Psalms, as we lament, we can say, "But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for God has been good to me." And so, yes, we can lament. We can throw our stones in the river, in the ocean, bury them, or we can carry them for as long as we need to. And God is with us every step. Amen.
Come out of sadness from wherever you've been. Come broken hearted, let the rescue begin. Come find your mercy, oh beloved, come near. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can heal. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can heal.
Let's do that one more time.
Come out of sadness from wherever you've been. Come broken hearted, let the rescue begin. Come find your mercy, oh beloved, come there's joy for the morning. Oh, beloved, be still. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can heal. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can heal.
We're ending with a reading called Blessing in a Time of Violence by Jan Richardson, which is to say this blessing is always, which is to say there is no place this blessing does not long to cry out in lament, to weep its words in sorrow, to scream its lines in sacred rage. Which is to say, there is no day this blessing ceases to whisper into the ear of the dying, the despairing, the terrified. Which is to say, there is no moment this blessing refuses to sing itself into the heart of the hated and the hateful, the victim and the victimizer, with every last ounce of hope it has. Which is to say, there is none that can stop it, none that can halt its course, none that will still its cadence, none that will delay its rising, none that can keep it from springing forth from the mouths of us who hope, from the hands of us who act, from the hearts of us who love, from the feet of us who will not cease our stubborn, aching marching, until this blessing has spoken its final word, until this blessing has breathed its benediction in every place, in every tongue. Peace, peace, peace.